Okay, let's continue to talk about functions, and here we'll see the example that I mentioned in lesson 8 part 2, which was the factorial. And through this example we'll see the use of a function and what's the difference between a declaration and a definition of a function. So if you look at the program that I have here, what I have after the include, I include the library where printf is, so that doesn't matter. But after that I have a line that says int factorial, and in parentheses also int. What is this? This is the declaration of the function factorial. And I declare the function, I introduce this function to the compiler before the program. You see, before the int main, I have int factorial, and this is called the function declaration or prototype of the function, because all it has is the return type, which is int. It has the name of the function and the parameter types. So here there is only one parameter that's integer. So in the parens I have int, and that's it. The function itself is not here. It's only the declaration of the title of the function. And then I have my main program, which you're familiar with. Starts with int main, and in main I define an integer number which I would like to read from the input. So I prompt the user with a printf and I say, please enter a positive integer number whose factorial you want to calculate. And then I have scanf, and you already know what scanf does, and I give the address with the ampersand sign of in number, which is the integer that I defined here. And it's an integer, so I gave it a format of %d. And then at this point the program pauses, waits for input. Once the input is there, it proceeds and it defines an integer variable called result. And then this is the call for the program. This is where we call factorial. So calling the program is done by mentioning the name. Here's the name of the function, factorial, and giving it the correct parameters that were defined for it. So in this case we defined for it only one parameter, which was an integer, and therefore I give the in underscore number, which is an integer that I received here from the input. And then what happens by calling the function gets executed, and the result of the function, the return of the function, goes into this variable that I called result. So at the end of the program, all I have to do is print the number that I received through the input and the result. So that's why I give two integer formatting, %d here. I say the factorial value of %d is %d, because this is an integer and this is an integer. This is the input that I receive from the user, and this is the result of the factorial calculation. Now let's look at the function. Here is the function definition. After the main ends, I define the function, and the definition is actually giving the entire sequence of code that's inside the function. So I have the top line, return type, function name, parameter list, which is only one parameter, and this is the body of the function between this curly brace and that curly brace. And this is the logic that we already discussed in lesson 8 part 2. You can go over the logic and see if you understand it again, and write me an email if you don't. But basically every time that the function is called, here the function is called once, but if it was called more than once, every time the function is called, it has to be called in a consistent way, which means we provide an integer inside the parentheses, one parameter, which is an integer, and the result, the return of the function, will go into a variable. Actually, we could skip this variable, and we could have done, instead of defining result and calling factorial on in number, entering it into result, we could have replaced it with having here, instead of result, the whole call for the function, factorial of in number. And we'll see it in a second. First, I just want to show you how this works. So let's run this small little program. And the program was called factorial. So let me find it. Here's factorial. Hopefully you can see that. So I run factorial, hit enter, and it's asking me, please enter positive integer number whose factorial you want to calculate. And let's say I enter 5, hit enter, and I get the factorial value of 5 is 120. And let's try another one. Let's put 6 this time. 6 should be 6 times 120, so it's 720. And the program gives us the correct answer, 720. So we tried the program and we see that it works. And go over the program, go over the function, and remember that there is a declaration for a function and there is a definition for a function, and here there is a call for a function. And now, as I said, I can replace the result variable. I can put this whole thing into a comment and put in the print statement, put this factorial of in number instead of the result variable. So you see what I did? I commented out this line, so I no longer have the variable result defined and assigned. And instead of result, I just put the function inside the print f, and this should give us the same exact result. So let's try it. Compile. And let's run it again. Enter, give it the number 5, and the answer is 120. Give it the number 7, and the answer is 5040. So you can try this program yourself and see how it works, and hopefully you understand what the function is and how it works. If not, if you have any questions, send me an email. That's it for now.